Hey guys, J3 Productions here. Thank you again for getting me to 150 subscribers. This is my response video for my 150 subscriber Q&A. Before I get to your questions, I wanted to let you know what's playing on the screen. This is the non-special effects version of my Justice League stop motion. Just to give you guys a peek behind the curtain and also make it so you're not staring at a blank screen while I answer these questions. Hope you enjoy it.
Why are speedsters always the last to show up?
The first question comes from Vertical Bricks, asking, what or who inspired you to get into stop motion? Well, I always liked coming up with my own stories about DC and Marvel heroes. My wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, bought me a Lego Superman set, and that got me hooked. I started off writing my own comics, and since I can't draw worth anything, I would take pictures of the Legos to illustrate the comic. In one of the sets I bought, there was an advertisement in the back of the book for the Lego stop motion app. I downloaded the app and figured if I could get decent at it, stop motion was a better way to create the stories I wanted to tell. Up next, Trekformer and RRG Productions want to know how long I've been animating. Trekformer also threw out that my channel looks relatively new, but the production quality is better than almost every other stop motion channel I've seen. Thank you, I appreciate that. I did my first stop motion about 6 years ago, and it was really bad. Then I didn't do anything for about a year and a half, and then got back into it, still with Lego. That's when I did that Lego Batman stop motion on my channel. I started a Batman vs Superman project that I never finished, and then stopped again for about a year. When I came back, that's when I did the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Superman Lego stop motions. Then I moved into action figure stop motion. So off and on for over the last 6 years. I've had my channel for a little over a year, but really started taking it seriously this year when I put out that Nightwing stop motion. My next question comes from RRG Productions, wanting to know how many FPS I shoot at. I shoot at 12 frames per second. That's just what I started out with, and I've just stayed there. I've considered upping the frame rate. I know 12 is on the lower side, but the lower side does help me finish projects a little bit quicker. I think you can make different frame rates look good. You just have to be aware of how a frame rate changes the shots that you need. I think in the future I'll at least shoot a project or two with a bumped up frame rate and just see what it looks like and see how I like it. But for right now, I'm just comfortable at 12. Next question. Both RRG Productions and Max's Lego Stop Motion want to know what editing programs do I use. I use 4 programs to do my stop motions. I shoot the stop motion in Stop Motion Studio Pro. Then I use Photoshop to change any single frames. Then I use After Effects for most of my special effects, and then I use Audacity for audio to clean up voice work and alter voices if I need to. Alright, let's see. Next I've got Super Kal-El wants to know how long I've been collecting action figures. I really just buy action figures that I could see myself using sometime down the line. I sold off my Lego collection. I had a pretty big Lego collection, and started buying action figures at the end of last year. So really, since November of last year is probably when I started collecting action figures. Also from Super Kal-El wanting to know who was the Justice League's next biggest villain. For me, Darkseid's number 1, Brainiac's number 2, and I love stories that combine them both.
Batgirl's up there trying to free them, but
okay, now back to Max's Lego stop motion, asking what is my next sub goal and what is my next stop motion. I am eyeing the 250 mark next. I don't have anything special planned for it, but it's the next number in my mind. My next stop motion is going to be my Swag Wave entry, and it is a stop motion starring Green Arrow. Max also asks, is it hard to animate with figures? It comes with its own challenges. Some of the nice things about Lego are the pegs make it easier for them to stand. I think walk and run cycles are easier to do with Lego. Minifigures are also smaller, so they're easier to rig and suspend in the air. But I personally didn't like how limited I felt with the minifigures because of their articulation. Some people do amazing action with Lego minifigures, but I wanted figures that I could move more like humans for my action scenes.
He's down on the ground. Nightwing and the
And
others are
Max's
trying to hold
Lego
on.
stop motion also
not sure
says,
how
and
much
this
longer
isn't a
we can
question,
last.
but your videos are very good, bro. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I enjoy the work you do also. You do some good stuff. Next up, Trent Lego Studios asks, who is my favorite superhero and why? My favorite superhero is Nightwing. I've just always been a Dick Grayson fan back from when he was Robin and just carried on. I'm a big Batman fan, and I think Nightwing is kind of like a version of Batman who's a bit happier of an overall person. Brick Boy Productions drops in to say congratulations on 150 subs. Thank you, I really do appreciate it. Let's see. Bat Bear asks, DC or Marvel, and who made the Flash figure I used in my Flash stop motion? If you can't tell by my channel, I'm a DC guy, but I do really love Marvel as well. I'll watch anything from either brand, but I do prefer the DC characters. I initially planned to go back and forth and do a DC stop motion, then a Marvel stop motion, then a DC, then a Marvel. But once I got started, I kind of got swept up in the DC, so I'm kind of staying there for a while. Hopefully I'll get around to do some Marvel stuff eventually. The figure that you see in my Flash stop motion, that is a Mezco 112 collective. It's a great figure. If you are a fan of the Flash and you have a chance to pick one up, I would recommend it. Next question comes from Brandon Animations. Asks, what's the biggest struggle being on YouTube? Being on YouTube itself isn't really a struggle. I mean, you upload your content and it's there for people to watch or not watch. If we're talking about building a channel, obviously the biggest struggle is the getting subs, and yeah, I mean that's what I'm struggling with right now, trying to get as much exposure as I can and have people subscribe to my channel. Okay, now I've got a question that comes from Shaver's Motion. The first part of the question is, what stop motion video that I have made is my favorite? I would have to say that my favorite video that I've made is my Justice League video. Originally, I made the Lego stop motion character by character, and what I was going to do is I was going to bring them all together into a Justice League stop motion. The reason I went character by character was because I was getting practice working with how I wanted each character to move, how I wanted to do their powers, how I wanted to do special effects. When I decided to go to action figures, I decided I really didn't have the patience to do it that way. So I was just going to throw everybody into the same project. That was going to be my first action figure stop motion. And I would just kind of learn and animate along the way. I would learn how to do their special effects for each character on the fly. The Nightwing stop motion, the action figure stop motion, was actually supposed to be the lead-in to Justice League and part of that stop motion, but when I got halfway through it, I decided that I wanted to use a different Nightwing for the Justice League stop motion, so I ended up kind of just cutting off the Nightwing stop motion and making it its own thing. So overall, I'm really happy with how the Justice League stop motion turned out. And my final question from Shavers is, how long does it take for me to usually make a stop motion? It seems like it takes me about, I'd say, 3 to 5 weeks for every 4 to 5 minutes of a stop motion animation. That can change depending on how much action there is versus just exposition and how much post-production work I have to do. As a rule, I try not to animate for more than like an hour at a time, and I almost never animate for more than 2 hours at a time. I like to take my time with it, not rush through a project. I find that my patience gets a little thin if I'm animating too long in a row. adding the mouth animations to it can also add 1 to 2 weeks to a project. Just depends on how much dialogue there is there. Justice League took me about 5 months. Granted, I did take a, probably about 3 week, maybe even a full month break in there, and some other breaks. The Flash only took me about 3.5 weeks. The Nightwing one took me about 2 weeks, so it kind of just depends. Well, guys, I think that's everything. I think I got all the questions. I hope I answered them all. Once again, I appreciate you guys getting me to 150 subscribers. I'm also a fan of the stuff that you guys are putting out. There's a lot of talented animators out there. I can't wait to show you guys what I have next, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have next as well. Take care.